Okay, good morning, boys and girls. We are going to continue our studying of Chapter 9. This is Lesson 10 in Chapter 9. It's called Finding Part of a Number. Okay, so let's say you were given this diagram with these words of a story problem. There are 12 kittens. Find how many kittens are black, how many kittens are white. And you can use this diagram to help you. Now, they're not asking you what fractional part of the kittens is black and what fractional part of the kittens are white. They're not asking you that because that's right in the drawing. They're not asking you to interpret that drawing. They want to know, of the 12 kittens that were in this animal shelter, 1/3 of them are black and 1/3 plus 1/3 of them are white. Now, we already learned how to add fractions, and we know that 1/3 plus 1/3, we've done it in our fractions lessons, we've done it in our probability lesson. Now, 1/3 plus 1/3, the first thing you do is you look at the denominator. If the denominator is the same, you just add the numerator. So 1/3 plus 1/3 is 2/3. If this was an apple and this was an apple, 1 apple plus 1 apple is 2 apples. 1/3 plus 1/3 is 2/3. Okay? And the third, which makes the whole thing, is a different color. So they're not asking you what fractional part of 12 is black and what fractional part is white. They want to know the actual number of kittens that are black. So here's what you do. You first take the total number of kittens, which is 12, and you're going to divide them up into 3 groups. Now, if you were younger and you were still in 3rd grade or 2nd grade, you might have to draw a picture and then break the 12 into 3 equal groups. Or you could you could draw a picture and say group 1, group 2, group 3, and then put little dots or boxes or circles or something in each group until you got to the number 12. And you would see that 12 divided into 3 groups equals what? Right, 4. So 1/3 equals 4. So 4 kittens are black. Now what you've just done is you found 1/3 of 12. That's what you just did now. By dividing 12 by 3, you found that, and the answer is 4, you found that 1/3 of 12 is 4. Well, what if you were asked to do the other half? Well, how many, which you are asked, how many of the kittens are white? Well, that's 2/3. Now we found 1/3 already. Now you're being asked to find 2/3. So what you have to do is you have to take your answer here of 4, because that's what 1/3 is, and you want to do it for 2/3. So you can either do 4 plus 4, which equals 8, or now that you're 4th graders about to be 5th graders, you, instead of adding, you would do 4 times 2 equals 8. So 8 are white. 4 are black, 8 are white. And if you wanted to check your work to see if you were correct, you would add these two. 8 plus 4, does it equal the whole thing of 12? Yes, it does. So then you're in good shape and probably have answered this correctly. Okay, so here's what you should do. You should pause your video as soon as I read this to you. You should pause the video and copy this into your notebook. To put chapter 9-10, part of a number, put today's date, which is 4/24/20 on the top of the page, and then copy. 2, find part of a number, colon, then skip a line. I couldn't skip because I don't have that much space on the board, but you should skip a line. Number 1, first step is divide. Second step is multiply. What you're going to do is you're going to divide the whole number divided by the denominator. And then you're going to take your answer, which is your quotient, and you're going to times it by your numerator. Now pause the video and copy this down. When you're done copying, unpause the video and watch the rest. Okay, so now you've done that. You've copied it. You've seen it in an example. What if you were given the problem 1/5 of 15? Sometimes you get a word problem, a math story like we just did about the kittens, but sometimes they just ask you, find 1/5 of 15. Find 1/5 of 15. What does it equal? Okay, same thing. You take your whole number and divide it by your denominator. Your whole number divided by your denominator. 15 divided by 5 equals. So if you don't remember your times tables for your 5 times tables, you could use a turnaround fact, and you could say what number times 5 equals 15, and the answer is 3. So that's step 1. Divide your whole number times your denominator. Whole number divided by your denominator equals this. Now you take your answer, your quotient for step 2, and you times it by your numerator. So our quotient is 3 times our numerator, which is 1, which equals 3 again. So, therefore, 1/5 of 15 is 3. Let's try another one. And I'm going to change the marker color too. Let's try 1/2 of 14. Now that you could probably do in your head, so you'll know if it's right. 1/2 of 14 equals something. So let's not, you know it's 7 because you know 1/2 of 14 is 7. You could do that in your head. But let's do the steps. Divide your whole number by your denominator. 14 divided by 2 equals 7. Step 2, multiply your quotient times your numerator equals 7. So 1/2 of 14 equals 7, but we knew that already. Now you might be saying to yourself, why am I bothering to do this step? It's always the answer as the top. Well, that's not always true. Because watch, what if you were asked to find 2/7 of 14? 2/7 of 14 equals some number. So the first thing is you divide your whole number divided by your denominator. So 14 divided by 7. What does 14 divided by 7 equal? 2, right? 2 times 7 is 14. Now that you have to do your multiply step. We're not multiplying by 1 this time. We're multiplying by 2. So it's going to be your answer, your quotient, times your numerator, gives you an answer of 2 times 2 is 4. So 2/7 of 14 is 4. So if your numerator is 1, then you could skip multiply step because you know the identity property of multiplication says any number times 1 is itself. So you don't have to waste your time because you already know. So you can forget nothing. You can forget nothing in math because it comes back either right away or sometimes later on in the school year, but it comes back. So we already know the identity property of multiplication says any number times 1 is itself. You learned that in 3rd grade. We learned it again in 4th grade. Okay? What if we were to try one more problem? Let's try, how about 3/8 of 16. 3/8 of 16 equals something. So our steps say divide your whole number divided by your denominator. 16 divided by 8 equals, right, 2. Step 2 says multiply your quotient times your numerator. Quotient times numerator equals 2 times 3, 6. So 3/8 of 16 is 6. Okay, now sometimes you will be given, instead of a blank or a question mark, they might tell you to do, let's say, 5/8 of 16 equals A. 5/8 of 16 equals A, and then you have to tell them what A equals. Okay, so steps are the same. Step 1, divide your whole number by your denominator. Divide your whole number by your denominator. Divide 16, which is my whole number, divided by my denominator, which is 8. 16 divided by 8 is 2. Step 2, multiply my quotient times my numerator. My quotient times my numerator. 2 times 5 equals, can you still see that? Yes, equals 10. So what does A equal? 10. Okay, I think you should be able to do this now.